Yo, what is up, everybody? What's good? Happy Friday. Hope you're all doing well out there, staying inspired. We've made it through another one. Just about. It is Friday. We're almost to the weekend. And Dremia, hello! Welcome in, Paul from sunny Maryland. It is sopping wet and slate gray here in Portland. Saf, hello! Inbox tag, you are it, sir. Bonch, salutations. How you doing today? Saf says, long walk from the bus to the grocery store, then to home. Good morning, Heidi. How is island life? Oh no, that's me in a nutshell, Saf. My entire life. Even in childhood, it's always one thing at the store. And it's very rarely that I'm like still in the parking lot when I remember what it is too. Nate, thank you. Welcome back in. Happy Friday. Congratulations again on the recent nuptials. You guys looked freaking happy and adorable. Ain't that the truth though, Saf? Every single time you go to the store, it's the one thing. It's always one thing that you forget, right? Half the time, it's the thing that I actually went to the store originally for, and then like when I go in, I get distracted by something or whatever, and then one thing leads to another. You've got like 15 things in the cart and you're leaving, and you're like, what the hell did I come in here for anyway? Blackberry, welcome in. Hope you're feeling a little bit better at least. Everybody send healing vibes to Blackberry. He's been under the weather for this last week, so poor man has lost his voice. He makes a very good point. We lost another legend this week. Everybody Ohm for Graham Edge. Saf hates carrying groceries. Lucky for him, the billionaires are building robots and drones to do these things for him. Samara, it's Happy Friday, dude. What's up? Been traveling through the 70s of late, huh? Nice, nice. Javar is in the house. Welcome in, Javar. Rainy and gray on the island, says Heidi. 15 months, Nate. 15 months, dude. 15 months. Saf, you gotta stay on the ride. You gotta stay on the ride. The music will get good again. Sometimes it's just a matter of meeting a couple of new friends. That's like half of music, you know? It's like who you're friends with, what they're turning you on to. Nate, dude, that's awesome. Saying immediately got busy after that, but we made a pact to take more dates and replicate that moment as close as possible. Yeah, man. 100%. Gotta make it happen. Blackberry's lost the ability to type as well. Now you're in my ranks. Man, I can't count how many times a day I'm on like Zoom calls and someone asks me something and yet I'm typing, I'm like making myself a note as to what was just added to my workload or whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't respond to you until I'm done typing. I can't do these two things at the same time. People that can play their instruments eloquently and sing at the same time have always had my mad respect. I've never understood my disability with the speech and physical movement thing. So I'm a drummer, right? I can move my hands and my feet independently, but I can like rub my belly and pat my head at the same time, but I can't type and talk at the same time. Nate says, Hop Legs came out on Switch today, and the OST comes out on Black Friday. Dude, big ups, man. Big ups. This is awesome. Blackberry says, the Moody Blues were such a huge influence on me as a little kid. Oh, yeah, dude, they were so freaking dramatic. So dramatic. The vibe kind of stops at 2000, like a reset switch. 2000 wasn't exactly the best year for music, that's for sure. Nano! What's up, Ben? How are you doing? How's the injury? I hope it's nothing serious, Blackberry. I hope after the weekend you feel great. Effective multitasking is a myth. Yeah, so I'm a like I fall into all these different categories. I don't know how into like spectrum neurodiversity type stuff you're all into, or where you fall in regards to how you feel about all of those things. But you become more neurodivergent as you're accessing more parts of your brain. And at an early age, I was tested for IQ and all sorts of stuff because I was in advanced placement trajectory from the very beginning in school and whatnot. And they have to place you in certain ways and into certain programs, right? Yeah, absolutely. The multitasking as a drummer, right? So multi-math, ability to multitask, like I've got these like really awesome skill sets that allow me to do more simultaneously where others struggle. And yet I look at people doing things that I feel are fairly simple on the multitasking spectrum, and I'm just like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I just can't. Dread Shadow, thank you for the follow. And Scrix Ignorant, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Nate, maybe there's just something special about drummers, right? Both you and I are independently limbed, I guess you could say. we can move ourselves around in ambidextrous ways when it comes to rhythm and drumming. But we can't freaking strum a guitar and sing and stay on time. We just can't. Ben. Oh my god, dude. Trim Ties, what's up, dude? Welcome in. Happy Friday. Iced coffee is helping you so much, Heidi. Well, hot coffee is helping me a lot right now. Oh, I'm a little loopy and tired at the end of this week. So many spinning plates this week. Nate is listening to lute music with my stream. Studying for a song commission for a pixel game. Nice, dude. You're gonna nail that. How many bits? How many bits? 8-bit? Oh man, milk apple tea. Dude, Saf, which grocery store did you go to? Javar says, I used to sing and play drums at the same time. I would probably take a lot of practice to get back to that. Okay, so you want to hear what's really messed up? I used to do that too. Backing, usually. But it's so much easier for me, for whatever reason, to be flailing around all four limbs and keeping time and do that. It's still difficult. It is hard. But I could never actually do it with just simple strumming on the guitar. I can't do it while typing on my freaking keyboard. I can't. It's like broken. You know what I mean? I can speak a little bit while I'm typing. Just no complex conversation, you know? Anybody else feel that? Can't all be Dave Grohl. Most metal and indie bands could play guitar and sing at the same time. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh, believe me, trust me, I know. Like growing up in the music scene, I felt like I don't know how many layers of like shame and incompetence because I couldn't sing and play instruments at the same time. Just never did. 9.5 bits. Just above 8-bit music, Nate. What's up, Gabriel? Gabriel Music in the chat here. Everybody give Gabriel a follow. He makes amazing stuff, as you all know. Ooh, you just dropped a track. Nice, Gabriel. Nice. Oh, that guy. Oh, that guy. Heard Dave Grohl is releasing a film. Another one? Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. Let's see what this guy is doing at 60. Let's see what this guy's doing at 60. Something tells me he's not going to be playing fucking country fairs and casinos out on the coast. You know what I mean? Personally, I think like he and Woody Harrelson should team up. Between the two of them, they probably reach like half the world or something stupid like that. And make their next major conquest saving the planet. Javar says, I think typing and speech use the same part of the brain. You're forming words, so it would be hard to type and talk at the same time because you're trying to have two conversations at the same time. Boom. Yeah, okay. That makes a ton of sense to me. That, of course, it's all part of the communication center of the brain, which mine is damaged anyway, so that doesn't help. I'm starting with a limp anyway. Blackberry says, if you can't sing while holding a guitar, just sneer. Stardom guaranteed. Oh, thank you, Gabriel. I appreciate you, man. Happy Friday. Speaking of instruments, check out the Theravox. Wait, what? The Theravox? What is the Theravox? The Theravox. Vega, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Visual feedback for voice and speech. Is this the one you're talking about? Biofeedback activities. Custom musical instruments. Probably this. Located in Ontario. Ooh. Okay, now I want to know. Let's go down this rabbit hole for a minute, and then we'll go see what's popping on the Discord. Nate is saying, oh, OhmLab and chat, are you guys following Look Mum No Computer? He's a really awesome modular artist. No, is this on Twitch at all, or just YouTube, or what, Nate? Javar says, and since I process things visually, not orally, I see words when I talk more than hear them. It's even worse because I'm seeing the words I'm typing and the words I'm speaking. Oh, that's gotta be, yeah. The chat's really fired up today. Maybe it's just the tea kicking in. Tom's here. What's up, Iggy? How are you, man? Thank you so much for the biddies. Appreciate you, homie. Happy Friday. How are you and the family feeling? Everybody post-COVID? Paul says, Look Mum is great, but more an engineer than performer. Okay. He's really experimental, but also makes some solid hits. Cool, cool. Sister's back home. Chaos ensues. Javar says, yeah, I don't remember people's names when I meet them unless I can see them. So I have to write them down or take a long time to visualize them and concentrate. I have a bit of that too. Let's see what's going on with this stuff here. Zameritz always brings in the best stuff. Let me just kill this noise in the background here and check this out. Okay, so this is called Theravox Custom Musical Instruments. And they interview Theravox players in their homes and studios. These recording engineers, producers, and musicians shared stories about their lives, or about their favorite gear, rare synthesizer finds, and talked about how they use some of the gear to sculpt the sounds they create. Oh, that's cool. I want to go see the instruments first, though. Ooh, that's pretty. A tweed road case. All right, let's hear what this sounds. 10 sounds in 10 minutes here. We'll needle drop a few places. Oh, whoa. Okay, so you've got like a cord tethered to your hand movement. So highly expressive. So he's like twisting his finger. So this must be tethered to like an expression channel of some kind. Okay, so this interests me more than the seaboard. Let's move on to the next sound. Just some feedback. Total Star Trek. Zameritz, you found a gem. This is awesome. Yeah, how much does this cost? Send deposit. $400 is your deposit. Because these aren't out yet. So what he's doing there is, I think, he's tapping a freeze button. They're talking about a new freeze feature being added. Okay, this is pretty cool. These are oscillator triggers over here. Zameritz, I'm just reading your comment about you could write their names on them. Like name tags for everybody. Okay, so this is badass. This is like a stringed synth thing. This is pretty cool. Thank you, Zamerits. This is amazing. I don't know exactly what it costs. The deposit that you can put down is $400. And it looks like they've got a couple different things. And it looks like this is actually a chain here. So it's ET5 preview. Maybe this was just... Oh, I see. Okay, so the ET5 has some patching capability and the ET4 does not. Got it. Well, fantastic. That's some really neat stuff. I gotta look at one more thing here.
If I'm gonna take the time to build something, I'm gonna want to build something that's gonna be around and even passed down. I don't want to build something that has
he looks familiar.
Time use. I don't want to build something that ends up in the garbage. And to use something like wood, I don't take that lightly. I know that this is a tree. I know it's been cut down for me to make something with, and I want to put as much love into it as possible, and I want to make something that when people get it, they can also see that that's gone into it, and hopefully that stays with them, and hopefully that stays with the instrument.
Welcome in, Audio Dabbler.
We start with 6-foot long boards that are about 10 to 12 inches wide, and these are rough cut boards of black walnut, so they're straight from the sawmill. So once we bring it here, we have to run it through a 6-stage milling process, where inside that wavy board we have to find the perfect board where it's perfectly straight and all the corners are 90-degree angles. And as we're doing that process, we actually have to do it over the course of several weeks, because the boards need to sit, because every process has relieved some internal stresses within the board, and it takes some time to react to that. Using wood, for me, is really important in this instrument, because so much around us is made of plastic, and it's meant to be disposable. Have fun with it for a few years, and then you're done with it, and its value, it doesn't keep over time. The wood that we use and the way that we finish it, it looks more beautiful over time, and you can fix it because it's made of wood. It's probably the first time that you actually get to see what it's going to look like. So it's almost like it's coming alive for the first time, but that's when you get to see what the grain of each one's going to look like. And because everyone's different, right? That's when its unique character shows, and it's probably my favorite part. Yeah, for sure.
Man, there's a lot of pride and passion wrapped up in this project here.
I don't think we can compete with other companies, larger companies, but we're not trying to. We don't do anything offshore. We do everything here, mainly me. And we only make so many instruments a year, but so be it. But that's more important to me than making something that might be a little bit cheaper and might,
man, I love that attitude,
break down quicker, might end up in a landfill. At the end of the day, I'm just making an instrument that
it'll keep you warm in the winter,
and I'm making it.
There's enough resistors in there
that I wish that other things were made from. I wish for the things that we make to have the longevity
hand signed
of the tree that it was made from, and I hope that it can be around as long, because that's what we're building things for, and that's what we're designing things for.
Here, here, brother. Beautifully, beautifully said. That's some awesome stuff right there. Well, that was a lovely look inside of this project. That's awesome. I really like this. Some really cool stuff. Some merits. Thank you. You always find the coolest stuff, man. Yeah. Yeah. Saf. Yeah, every time you step up to it, it's a whole new live set. Like you could just make stuff forever with this thing. And yeah, some merits. I love the attitude. Yeah, I love it too. I love it too, Heidi. I think that it's really nice that he wants to honor the longevity of the walnut tree, right? That they're using for these things. Wants to build them well enough that they can last just as long. I like that. Like that's a good thing to stand by. I like that. Only uses hopeful resistors. Blackberry says, I just got tickets to take my boys 4 and 6 to see Kraftwerk in the spring. They're my oldest favorite band, and I have always wanted to experience their show live, but never had the chance. Dude, Blackberry, that's like goosebump material right here. That's amazing. That's awesome. Rico, what's up, dude? Happy Friday. Welcome in. Hope you're well. Trailer, how are you, dude? Happy Friday. Watched a documentary about a bass guitar luthier a while ago. Love the materials is fascinating. Rock Audio Pro that went to Tone Woods, milled wood for sonic and acoustic goodness. Yeah, I mean, the people that are really passionate about this stuff, they're just so much fun to sit and talk with. Yeah, sit where you want to sit, Blackberry. That's a lifelong memory right there, and precious too that you're getting to spend it with your kids, because that's amazing. That's just a once in a lifetime kind of a thing. Vega, yeah. I guess we're just kind of easing into the feedback here. We'll get started in a minute. We just got completely sidetracked with this Therovox. Everybody's chatting in the chat today, so. Oh, concert's actually going to be in July. Good fun. Awesome. Is it indoor or outdoor? Nate, have a good one, brother. Enjoy the fresh air. We will see you on the flip. Thank you so much for 15 months, brother. 15 months. And congratulations again. And Tom, if you're still watching, thank you again. All right, let's see what's popping over on the Discord here. Hey, we got new peeps coming in. Scrix, Dread Shadow, and Vega, welcome to all of you. Hey, Whiskey's in the house. Nice. Says, little something I've been working on the past few days. Still pretty early stage. Won't be as repetitive when I finish the structure. Just subbed out the snare for some finger snaps. Might bring the snare back in on the switch. We'll see. Intro needs more. And the whip as a whole lacks a lot of transitional effects and phrase variation other than the changing bass sounds. Any feedback would be awesome. Jello shots. So let's listen to this thing and see what Whiskey's up to. Da, 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 da. Me and my documents, although you might notice that there's less this time. There's so much crap. We're going to have a special guest on today, you guys. Imaginate's going to be in the house, and it's because he's dropping a new single with Tasha Baxter today. So we'll talk with him. And some of you will probably be lucky enough to get input from him as well. So, there we go. All right, Whiskey, let's see what you cooked up for us. This one's called Move.
Move your body like move, move. Move your body like move, move. Move your body like move, move your body like move, move your body like move, move your body like
Dude, Whiskey, you're on a roll right now. This is freaking great, man. You're playing so much. This is so like fluid and organic sounding, and I like that you're pushing boundaries. There's plenty of play with the bass on the sides. I was just about to say you should mess with those toms, man, and boom, it's great. It's great. I almost don't even want to give you any creative feedback on this just to see what comes out next. This is fun. This is fun. I want to go back and listen to something right after the start here. I think you could play with the dynamics a little bit of this synth, right? Like if it was starting a little bit further back and down and then kind of coming up at you like a horn player is like sweeping up toward you or something like that. I think it would play really nice with those kind of washy, like wishy-washy kind of hat thing you got going there. I think if I was to say one thing about the mix and maneuvers, is that there could be a little bit more movement, like position movement of things, not drastic across the spectrum, but a moving for like focus, to kind of highlight the sound design and modulation ideas that you're playing with. If you were to think about this, like each element in your mix is like an animated character, what would that animated character do when it was having its chance to, modulate up or down or whatever? It might be kind of cool to just kind of think about your sounds as these things that kind of move a little bit as they're going through their modulation sweeps or whatever. And dude, this is an infectious groove. This is seriously awesome. And when the perks come in, it's just, it hits. It's awesome. This is great. You could play with a couple of delays here, right? Like if you think about the long form groove here, if you had just one spray of delay and it was like a dotted eighth, right? But your feedback for that small burst was like maybe 95%. So it just barely gets quieter each time it delays until it gets through that whole segment there or something. It would add a really cool funky swing. Kind of like what the vocal is doing, right? Because you got the dotted ping pong with the oh.
move your body like move,
I would say that as far as like what could you do to really push this over the edge before the perks come in, if there was like a growing bed that was pulsating, undulating in some way, and it was kind of slow at first, and as you're getting closer to the perks, it's coming up more and more and more, right? Like a woo, 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 woo kind of a thing.
Move your body like move.
Because people will lose their minds when they get to this. Right, like if the whole floor was pushing up at them like this with those toms, they would just lose their minds. This is great. I want to hear where you go with this. Comats Beat, welcome in. Happy Friday to you. Where you send in for feedback, just drop them in the public feedback here inside the Discord, and we'll hit it up. Fat trunk and stoop in the animal house recipe for success. Small little factoid in the Gear family. The animal house was my father's old frat house in college at U of O. That's true. Blackberry saying, I like how the sounds in this mix intertwine and undulate together. Tough to do and sounds effective. It's awesome. It's awesome. So good. Really like it, Whiskey. Really good. All right, we're going to circle back to you, Legromancer. I think we had a few in here before that. All right, so we'll get through these. We'll get into the sub-feedback channel again. So next up is Mertz. Man, you've been busy. He's saying, made this for yet another competition. Competitions seem to keep my focus on creating tracks. Some more of the despotism. Got inspired after watching the making of Dark Side of the Moon and Run on the Synthy. This is using the Synthy VST from Arturia. Okay. Blackberry says, have to admit a moment of professional jealousy listening to your mix, Whiskey. Man, Blackberry, I love having you in here, man. Seriously, like, I wish more people were a bit more, like, genuine and transparent with these types of feelings. Seriously, I do. I think these things really matter. I think they help greatly with things like imposter syndrome, and I don't think that there's nearly enough lifting up other people in all of this. Cheers, brother. Cheers. Dean Wormer. All right, let's see what Mertz came up with here. I'm sure we will all be impressed here in a few seconds. This one's called Further Gone.
Government censorship is one form of control. One form of control. Control.
Dude, you're on such a roll. This is so cool how you've been putting together palettes of sounds that are so juxtaposed, and you find these really incredible ways to make them work. It's really refreshing, homie. Seriously, like this is kind of developed to be your thing, I feel. And I feel like these competitions that you're doing every single week are like pushing you further down that path somehow. Maybe it's the black box effect of having to use certain things. And then you're being drawn to try to find a way to use other things with it. It's a really cool mashup sound that you're walking into here. Yeah, just good. Just good. And this is, I'm just reading some of the feedback in the end, or in the chat about this. This is good. People like it. Okay, so all I really have to say, thank you, Classic Noble, for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome in. Happy Friday. I think it's the originality of the entire thing that I like the most. That one pitch bend, the first pitch bend at 120, when you start to really take that lead synth on a ride, or it starts taking us for a ride, rather, that one pitch bend transforms it completely. It was, I mean, it's not like it was rigid before or anything, but it just became this fluid living character in the mix. And I really like that. It was a good choice. At 150, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, those hats haven't really changed. And then it dawned on me, wouldn't it be cool if there was something in this mix that at the very beginning of the mix, it's 3 minutes long. So it would be a 3-minute growth cycle, I guess. Something, and maybe it's like tethered to the hats, starts in one spot and then slowly kind of expands out. Maybe it's an atmosphere or something like that. But these hats is what gave me the idea of just like, keep them where they are in the very beginning and then just slowly start to pull them out towards the sides and in like a ping pong, like an alternating kind of thing. I think it would be really cool. The reason why my ears tuned into them a couple of different times is I was wondering if they were like present enough in the mix. And I think they are. It's just that there's so many other interesting things that pull me away from them. And if they were being dragged through all of that over time, I think it'd be a really, really nice, like, long form immersion effect. And you could have a small play with some delays on the keys throughout this thing. It's nice piano work in there. And Dremia says, I'm genuinely learning every time I'm in here. Dude, you've been in here for like a year. Blackberry says, it was a damn, I don't know how to do that, quickly replaced with, I think you could do that this way. Seth says, I'm learning here too. Blackberry says, I like this. It's kind of a callback to the theme for House of Cards. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Gebro likes the trip. Saf likes it. Hey, nice. Getting over a plateau with the harmonica. It's got to feel good, Heidi. The ending is interesting when the piano comes in. It's got a bit of Morricone Spaghetti Western tingle to it. A little bit. I kind of like it when people are able to pull that off. You know, a la Faith No More. Yeah. Modulate the hats or the reverb. Exactly. Yo, Imaginate's here. What's up, homie? How are you? You let me know when you're ready to jump, and I will dial you up. We're going to have Imaginate on the show today. He's dropping new music today. And of course, the way that things are in the world with Twitch and other places, we can't actually play this stuff live, but I want all of you to click on this thing, go get it, support, and we will all say great things about this everywhere we go. And for those with stuff still in the queue, you can get some kind things said about your music by Imaginate. Ooh, John Waters' Christmas celebration. Nice, dude. All right, so this next one is from Gabriel. This is Gebro in the chat. And this one is called Death March. Hold on, I think I cut that off. There we go. All right. This is great, dude. Of course. So for 2 seconds and forward during the intro bit, I would automate the volume up just a little bit on that metallic effects each time it's coming up. I think it just kind of like increase the effect that it has. Maybe just a touch more saturation on that hit at 29 seconds. And if there was like just a little bit of feedback, like like a natural delay kind of effect where it could just hang that saturation right there at the peak for just a second before it disappears, I think it would really, really hold the listener. 59 seconds, as you've got like, I don't know, like 4, maybe 5 of those transition sweeps coming up. Maybe one of them could have some kind of gating on it. And not the last one, right? Just to like mess with people's expectations. And it would give someone something else to work with if this is like a long form trailer, right? You could play with a little bit of delay on a few of those drum hits, the big ones, just so 1 or 2 of them could kind of carry into some of the other hits. 148, when you come back and you build up this rhythm again, what if there was a double time rhythmic that was like an underlying support element? And 204, what if that actually ended on a triplet vibe on this rise up? I think it feels like it just shy of a 16th triplet. If you push it up to a 16th triplet, I think it would feel really awesome with that Brahm at the very end. This is awesome. This is very, very nice. What are people saying? Where'd all this dry ice come from? Danny is saying this has a lot of character. Love it. Awesome. Epic trailer battle. Yeah. Paul back with the exam march again. Blackberry says the decay cycle of the sounds in the intro seems a little odd insofar as the thing with the most acoustic low end energy seems to die off first. But this is freaking huge without being hurtful to the ear, which is the holy grail of perceived loudness. I would say that the last couple of things that you've brought us in this vein, there has been a couple of things that were like overexpanded, like over maximized, if you will. And this, I did not feel that at all in any of the elements. And I'm all for breaking those rules, the expectation rules, right? Because as Blackberry is saying, it sounds great. So screw the perceived or like expectation rules, right? Because if you can get people to lean in and go, whoa, oh, I didn't expect that, then you've done your job. 100%. And thank you for the biddies, homie. I do appreciate it. All right. We're going to fire up this call with Danny really quick. Hold on just one moment while I get this set up. Hi, me. Multi out, good, okay. All right. Where'd the edge of my screen go? Hey, dude, how's it going?
All right, let's see if this works out.
All right. How are you?
There we go. Oh, I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Likewise. I got you up on my computer.
Oh, nice. Talking through your phone?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna talk through the phone. Do I sound okay?
You sound fine. Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
iPhone 10 coming in strong.
Nice. I have had so many internet woes over the past week that I fully comprehend the pains.
Sorry, hang on one sec. Just had a little bit of a faux pas. Okay, cool. Sorry, what was that, Chris?
Oh, you know what? I might have double audio on you. Now try it. Is that better? Were you getting feedback?
Let's see.
Or did you lose me entirely there for a second?
I watched you there for a second, and I had a double audio going too.
Well, I can mute on Zoom so you can listen just through the stream.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And we'll still hear you. So everybody good now? We'll see.
Actually, there's a huge delay.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. We can fire up another one of these if you like. So if I unmute, you're getting two voices.
Yeah, like it's better, I think, if I'm hearing you from Zoom.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's like
And
a
just mute
huge
Twitch.
delay.
That sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll be patient when it comes time for you chiming in with feedback. But more importantly, how the hell are you? You have a new release coming out today.
Yes, it is out now. It is called Innocence with Tasha Baxter on her brand new label titled called Polioto, and the track itself is part of a collaborative album that she's putting out called Full Moon Flex. And really the story behind the album is really all the tunes, and the whole album itself is just a collection of songs that came together during a lockdown, during a time of darkness and uncertainty. And it's really just artists coming together to create something beautiful and emotional, and just be something a little bit bigger than ourselves, which is always great to think about. Yeah, it's just a great opportunity to connect with other artists, talk, share ideas, and get these songs put together.
Badass. Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful stuff.
Yeah,
Can you
it's a beautiful
please
thing.
spam the chat and spam the Discord with links to this and the other stuff that you're working on so people can
Yeah,
keep tabs, show support?
absolutely. Yes, I'm going to grab my link tree. There we go.
Perfect. You hear that drama that Gebro just dropped for feedback?
Yeah, that was awesome.
You got any thoughts about that one?
I think when the drums started coming in, the one thing that poked out for me, at least, when the drums really came in for that, it was like kind of a swung triplet feel with the big, war drums.
Mm-hmm.
I felt there could have been a little bit more dynamic in each drum hit. It felt, I don't want to say like totally brick, but it felt like certain beats in between could have a little bit more dynamic, like softer drum hits, just to exaggerate the expression of that moment and the rhythm, but then also add just excitement to each drum hit.
A lower valley floor for those peaks, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear you. That's good feedback. That's
Which
good
is
stuff.
something, yeah, well, man, that's totally something that you and I have talked about a lot recently, like dynamics, and has been a huge help, at least in mixing the records off my coming album. So huge help.
It makes such a huge difference, doesn't it?
Big time. Everything's like more open, and it's weird. It's like when you take away, you're creating more space for those big moments.
Less is more. That subtractive
more,
mindset wins every single freaking time.
Yeah, it's so backwards. There was another mixing tip that I learned recently, which was, when you're working on a track, if you are, say, you're mixing your drums and you want your snare louder, don't turn the snare up, just turn the other elements down a little bit.
That's right.
Think backwards. And I was like, whoa.
Well, yeah, I mean, it allows you to turn everything up when you really want to, right? When that moment hits you as a listener, you can turn it up and everything feels great, even better.
Exactly. Yeah. So, game changer for sure. Sure.
It's like how music used to be when you can appreciate it at that level, when you can really honestly turn something up and it feels better, it feels more. That's a big win in my book.
Yeah. That's exactly the best way to put it. Is like, of course, you know exactly what to say. But, you know, it's all about getting more out of what the main element might be, or like the section. You know, it's about getting more out of it. So yeah, making room for more.
Yeah, through less. It's amazing.
Through less.
It's amazing science. Yes.
Yeah.
Blackberry
Beautiful.
says, doing classical, world, and jazz music, it's all about dynamic variants, way different animals than pop or rock music.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, especially classical music. Oh my God. Like when you have so many elements going on at once and then retaining that dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely why you avoid using compression. Absolutely. Yeah, because every player is in the moment and they know their role. And, you know, half of the people out there are as supportive can be.
Yeah. It's like classical music and jazz, I'd say too, is like both those styles of music are the ultimate team player genres, or like style of playing.
Right.
Yeah. You got to be a team player if you want, a great performance.
It's true. It's true. So before we dip into the next song for feedback here, tell us one of the things that stood out in the process of working collaboratively online during the pandemic with the Tasha Baxter project.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's funny, everyone, including myself, I think it was just really, really weird to go into the state of working totally online, especially in an industry that is very much about, personal connections and things like that. And going online, doing everything online makes it easier, but it's also, I think there's like an underlying unnatural element to that. But the cool thing about it though, is it's only up to the level of communication that you're willing to give, to the person that you're working with, right? It's all up to the communication. And the beauty in it is that Tasha Baxter is just such an amazing person to work with. I mean, she's diligent, of course, and a huge talent, and it was very, very streamlined, the whole situation. It was just, here's the tune, she likes it, and she wants to sing on it, so she does so. And, really, there's no other way to put it. It was just
Just
really
that easy.
Great, really, really great peanut butter and jelly situation,
Which one are you, the peanut butter or the jelly in this analogy? Don't worry, we're not going to ask her until like Tuesday.
I'm the jelly.
You're the jelly. She's the peanut butter in the sandwich.
She's the peanut butter. Yeah, because she's like the actual content. I'm just like kind of the sweetness.
Crunchy or creamy?
Oh, creamy all day. I love a creamy peanut butter.
Right?
Yeah, but crunchy, can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, no, we have to keep both in the house. We have to keep crunchy and creamy in the house, because when the mood hits, it hits. We actually ran out of crunchy peanut butter the other day. And of course, it's the day that Nico comes into the room at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I am hungry. I was like, I want crunchy peanut butter on toast. I'm like,
that's so funny. Yeah. Oh man.
I'm like chopping up peanuts in the kitchen at 5 o'clock in the morning, just like.
Wait, were you really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had peanut butter and we had peanuts. It's just chopping peanuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's Dad of the Year. Let's just give it up for Chris.
For chopping peanuts. If that's all it takes. Man, I didn't even like solve global warming or anything. I just chopped some freaking peanuts.
That's where it starts though.
Yeah, right. It's the little things. It's the little things. Start with chopping peanuts, and the next thing you know, you're showing up to all the kids' plays. And
and then next thing you know, you're solving all the world's major issues. So,
it all started with those freaking peanuts.
All with the peanuts.
All with the peanuts, man. Am I adopting? In trivia, what are the legalities of adopting an android from another galaxy? Do you know? I'm probably not the person to ask about the legalities of transgalactic adoption.
What planet are we talking about?
Yeah,
No, I'm
what
just
what
kidding.
planet does Andromeda originate from? I'm not sure if that is something that we can answer. I think we asked one time, and I think Andromeda was like came about on a ship, didn't he?
Oh wow.
I can't remember, but didn't we have this? Chop
Was like a
peanuts,
crash
chop
landing?
peanuts. I see you, Blackberry. What'd you say, Danny?
Was it a crash landing? Was it a smooth landing? How was it coming into Earth's atmosphere?
These are the things that we will only find out when we subscribe to Andromeda's new app and start buying the latest comic book in his ongoing saga. I'm working on trying to convince him to build the empire that he's already building. I just want him to put he has like hundreds of tracks, and it's all so original. He's got this character. It's like, it's amazing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
We've got to find a way. We've got to find a way.
Do it.
Right?
I mean, yeah, plant that flag here on Earth.
Right? Loomish, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you. Welcome in, and happy Friday. Mr. Imaginate, would you like to listen to another track?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. This next one is from Scrix. It's called Someone Else. He says, this was made when I was diagnosed with depression, and I've been in a bad state of mind right now. So hopefully you guys listening to this track will make me feel better. All right. Well, let's work on that together then.
And that is, let's see. Is that in your public feedback?
It is.
Okay. Let's see how I can work this out. Let's see. Oh,
because you're not listening to the Twitch? I feel you.
Yeah, because I have us going right now.
I have an idea.
Okay.
To fix this for us. Where's my Zoom here? To do this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mute myself on Zoom for a second. I'm just going to play this audio, and you can listen to it on the stream. I know you're a couple seconds behind, but it's all good. And then you don't have to juggle. All right, cool.
Okay, cool.
All right, so this one is Scrix. It's called Someone Else. What up, I am Thum. Welcome in. Happy Friday.
Last time we spoke, I said I'll kill myself. I hope you doing swell. Finding someone else. Last time we spoke, I said I'll kill myself. I hope you doing swell. Finding someone else. Last time we spoke, I said I'll kill myself. I hope you doing swell. Finding someone else. Last time we spoke, I said I'll kill myself. I hope you doing swell. I would do anything just to go find you. When you're alone, one day I'll be beside you. Yeah, messed up, but bro, I never tried to. One day they'll see that I'm a guy for you. It has been days, I've been talking a while. If you forgot me, then let me remind you. I'm just a kid who's sad and suicidal. Why am I stuck in the stage of denial? All these demons that are trapped in my mind, they pull me left and right, I can't even lie. They pull me back and forth, I can't even cry. They keep on telling me to do suicide. I'm fighting hard, so please know that I tried. I'm suicidal, bro, I just wanna die. I have nothing good in the sight of my eye. Oh God, please give me a sign. Mama, I'm hurt, baby, I'm worse. Honestly, I wanna sleep in the dirt. We talk about you love, cause I know you're my first. But love is a curse. Stabbing myself, so much blood on my shirt. Be careful of snakes because they always lurk. I'm trying to pass out, so I might take a perk and I might take a Xanax if that doesn't work. Yeah, I cannot do this no more. You left my heart so sore. All this pain buried me to the core. I don't wanna fucking live anymore. Why do you think that I'm faking depression? Please do not question my pain, cause I felt it. Please do not question my way of affection. Why do you think that I just want attention? Used to go to school, be happy and shit. Now I go to school with slits on my wrist. Started realize that it's pain what I give. Trying so hard to just fighting to live. Trying so hard to just fight my anxiety. Feels on my heart and my head of a rivalry. Trying to fight all these demons inside of me. I lost myself and I had trouble finding me. Last time we spoke, I said I'll kill myself. I hope you doing swell. Finding someone else. Last time we spoke, I said I'll kill myself. I hope you doing swell. Finding someone else. Last time we spoke, I said I'll kill myself. I hope you doing swell. Finding someone else. Last time we spoke, I said I'll kill
All right, so I don't really have a whole lot on the mix. There are some things. I think the snare could have just a touch more shine. And if you use this little overdrive trick that we're always talking about here, I'm just going to pull this up really quick and show you. Just simple overdrive, no drive or gain actually being added. You're just borrowing the circuitry to generate some harmonics upper or in the upper frequency realm. So target around 7K or so, and that snare is just going to crack. It's just going to be instant and it's going to be magical, and you'll probably love it and start using that trick all of the time. Next thing, where's my Discord? All right. Next thing, I just want to say, man, this is like mental health is serious and depression is serious. It's all over the place here in our household, and you've done a tough topic right and proper, and good on you for doing it. And it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to bare your soul, and you just did this brilliantly well. This is hitting the mark. Like right square in the face. It really is. Everything else is pretty solid. I would say if you go in there and you brighten up that snare just a little bit, the other thing I would think through is the EQ on each one of the elements in your mix, just to make sure that you're leaving as much room as you possibly can for the lowest frequencies to shine through on your low end elements. There were a couple of spots where the 808 wasn't quite as clear as others, which makes me kind of think that there were a couple of things in the mix that if the lower frequencies were removed, that 808 would come through nice and tight. But this is good, and I definitely want you coming back for more. So thank you for sharing. Danny, you got things.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I think honestly, it's really well put together. I mean, sonically, it sounds pleasing. The vocals are up front. The drums are punchy. I do think that the snare could definitely come up a little bit more, like you're saying with the overdrive idea and some of the shine. That's definitely going to help. But other than that, I mean, everything sounds really well balanced. As far as like creative stuff, if you're after that kind of feedback, I don't really have any maybe creative, like major creative feedback. I think the only thing that kind of maybe could get adjusted a little bit is the vocal vibrato warbliness. Like I know what you're going for, and again, this is all personal taste, but like I know what you're going for, but it sounds like it can be a little bit more controlled than it was at certain times in the tune. It sounded like it was jumping around in pitch a lot, and it was a little jarring at times. It's not like a huge thing, a huge like big, glaring thing for me, but it definitely made me raise an eyebrow a little bit. But other than that, yeah, it's great tune, lyrics, great lyrics, catchy lyrics, and as far as a topic, yeah, it's a hard topic to talk about, and yeah, it sounded very, very. That's what I'm thinking of, authentic.
Yeah, genuine for sure. Yeah. Okay. So I can feel what you're talking about with the vibrato or the wavering in pitch. And one thing you could do to just kind of play around with that is to do some of it through an auto tune, tighten it though, and then do the rest through a like a tremolo or something like that, where you're affecting things in a rhythmic manner, but it's not really pulling away from like proper pitch or whatever. So then it's not distracting in that same way. Ian Thum, Sleeping Rain, and Teokan, thank you all much for coming in. Happy Friday to you all. The other person you're seeing here is the one and only Imaginate. He just had a brand new track drop with Tasha Baxter today. And he's got a whole album coming in the near future at some point. It's going to be freaking amazing. Okay, this next one is Vega, and I think we dip back down to Allegromancer after that, and then we come back into this queue. Scrix, thanks again for the submission. I appreciate it. let's see. Just really quick, if I missed anything major in the chat on that track. Whoa, wait, hold on a second. This just in. Andremia says, I was actually a human once, accidentally teleported into the year 2077, and opted to become a robot during a trip in the past to learn how electronic music was created with my time traveling spaceship. The frequency reactor in my ship malfunctioned and I crash landed your current time. 2277 is when you were from. Okay, so you teleported to 2277 and then you crash landed in our current time, and that's what's happening here. Holy hell. See, it's good to get the backstory, right? The origin story
Always
of these things.
Yeah,
we know a little bit more about Andremia. Like Romancer says, this is way better than my backstory. Oh, man. Zamarit says, great rhythmic and deep vocals. Yeah. Doing well, Teocan. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so Blackberry does have some feedback on the vocals of that track really quick before we dip into the next one. And he's basically just saying, and this is a very wise person saying this, in the future, the vocalist needs to take bigger breaths and learn not to expel all of their air so quickly because of loss of power. You can hear how quickly the tone color shifts in a single line and how the sustain of the final note of the line has subdued overtone content, making it sound a little flat, even though they are generally not. And I think this actually speaks to what Danny was just saying with the pitch variation. And it could just be the drop in power affects the pitch, and that in turn affects the auto tune, of course. I deal with that with folks all the time. It's like super normal. It's just something you got to work on over time, and it gets better and better and better. All right, here we go. I'm going to mute on Zoom really quick, Danny.
Yes.
All right, cool. So this one is Vega, and it is called In Love with Who You Are. Hey, wait, Vega, did you just release this? We just can't have any DMCA stuff. I just saw that this is your first single. We all good here? Yeah, true. That air is needed for vibrato. Exactly, Blackberry. Yeah. Yeah, this is a great logo. You are right, Drum Ties. Is Vega still here? All right, let's scroll and we'll come back to Vega. Adsol 2:10:28. Okay, so we are still here. All right, so this next one up is Adsol. And this one's called The Serpent's Tongue. right. This is a fun one. This is not what I was expecting. Lots of tension in this one. The chords are really interesting and cool. It sets like a serious mood and vibe from the onset. I think that the kick is getting buried, like 150-ish or so. The kick and the snare are. I would actually just recommend beefing up those drums all together. You can bust them all out and lay down some really heavy, gritty compression and distortion over the top, and then mix that back in. Or maybe just the compression, and then after that stuff has been summed, you put some distortion over the top of it, a la like Trent Reznor, right? I think that might sound kind of cool in something like this. But as they're hitting right now, it's sucking away the like over the top energy that this could have. Yeah, definitely recommend beefing those up. And without much low end competition, you can play with the idea of like, like dark techno sometimes has this like atmospheric pump swell thing happening, and it's all actually just a manipulation of the reverb tails coming off of this massive kick, but you're not actually hearing all of the low end from said kick, right? You're just hearing like the wash of the upper frequencies. Something like that might play really well in this track. I'm really digging the art. Loved it the first time through, loved it the second time through. It really fits the theme so well. 3:30, I gotta agree. Paul said right out the gates, please let there be, what did he say? Some kind of dark dialogue samples or something like that. Please let there be sinister spoken word. That's what he said. And yeah, I was totally feeling that. At 3:30, there's this synth that kind of lurks, and I was like, oh, he's bringing in some vocals, but it wasn't, which just made me want the dialogue even more. So overall, I would say if you could find some more separation between elements and play with the dynamic range of the various players. In other words, they don't all need to be up at their peak potential the entire time. Some of those things can come down and move up and down throughout the song to kind of make more space for other things. Which also then in turn makes more room for simple little embellishments like transition effects and whatnot that can kind of highlight the maneuvers that you're playing with. And then the other thing I would say is after you go through and do that, like zoom way out and just listen to this thing from like a timbral frequency spectrum perspective, because there are a few spots in here where like the mid-range frequency area is very well represented. There's a lot of stuff going on, but there's absolute room for some high-end ear candy of some kind, like some kind of moving transition effect or something like that. So, yeah, that's my feedback on this one. It's a bit, and I love the vibe of this one. What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, sorry about that. Had some little connection issues going on.
We're being kidnapped.
Yeah, now we're being kidnapped. That song was like perfect for a kidnapping.
It's true.
Yeah. No, so what I did here, and I'm sorry that I cut out, the internet was having a hard time with that. Yeah, from what I heard, I think with this style of music, it's really easy when rolling bass lines are like kind of the main element, like main supporting element in this kind of music. It's really easy to have the mid-range, low mid-range really take up a lot of room. And I would say this is what, probably about at lowest 150 hertz to maybe 350, 400 is where there's a lot of like boominess in the bass. And that can take away from like a nice, thick, well-rounded low end. And then also make space for other elements to come in and out, like transitional elements and things like that as well. But overall, in this style of music, like bass control is everything.
Word.
Yeah, bass control is everything with this. Creatively, it's a really interesting song. Like it's got you thinking as it's progressing, which is cool. But that's about it. Yeah, and I would agree totally with some like atmospheres in the background, transitional elements, things like that to really drive the scene of what the song is, because the song has a really has a really strong visual component to it. Like I see something happening with this kind of song, and having little cinematic elements in between moments and to anchor down new changes in the song would be really beneficial.
You know what, Edsol? What Danny is speaking to, what could really help with all of this is getting a greater big picture mindset during the kind of like post-production ideation process, right? Like, what do I do with this now, right? Like, what is this thing? Go find some video from a movie and score it with your music and see what other kind of embellishments you end up putting in there just to bring that scene to life. Now turn off that video and listen to the music. And this type of music, the rolling bass line, like working with pulses in general, which is, I mean, really, to be frank, this is really what this kind of music really is like a cinematic, moody, it's like an adrenaline rush for a backbone, right? So like, where do you go with this stuff? And setting mood, and like you've got tension in there, which lends itself more to the cinematic angle. So I bet if you were to try to bring this together through marrying it to some kind of visual, you're going to start having fireworks in your brain as to how to make things fit together better in your music, and what you can do with very small embellishments and cues in your music to increase like the emotional impact and highlight dynamic changes and that type of thing. So
yeah, big time. Yeah, the dynamic changes especially. And I'm reading, he was saying, he or she was saying the idea was a cinematic track with an electric techno vibe. But yeah, like I really felt like this was like, there was a story going on at Berghain, if you know what Berghain is.
yeah, dude, seriously.
It wasn't just like you're pulling up to Berghain and then, you know, you hear the you know what I mean? There's like actually some dialogue going on, which is like the melodic motif of the song. So like, yeah, having nice. Yeah, having those little elements in there to really sell the scene, like we're saying right now, is like, man, it's so valuable. I like the idea too of like putting it to a movie scene or something like that too. That's genius.
Yeah, because you never know,
I want to
like,
try that.
yeah, like a car driving up or something in the beginning could change what you think is happening in the scene entirely, right? But you would never consider something like that unless it just happened to be something that you were like trying to sync to or something, right? But once you go through a few different sessions like that, you start to have those kind of ideas. Like, okay, now what else could I hear in this music that would actually be fairly organic and yet way out of left field? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Taking my chances with film music as well at the moment. Really interested in that as well. Good. Okay, cool. Hey, what's up, Zev?
Zev.
What's up, Will? How are you? Everybody give Zev a follow here. Show him some love. Okay, so we're dipping into the subscriber-only feedback channel really quick, and we're going to pick up Allegromancer's track, and then we're going to come back and listen to Komat's. You still good on time here, Danny?
Oh yeah, I'm good to go until I'd say about 12:30.
Sweet. All right, let's go listen to Allegromancer then.
All right.
He says, so this piece is pretty much completely composed, so I'm mostly looking for feedback on mixing, since that's definitely the area I need the most help in. I'm not sure about the panning, and also I'm wondering if there's a way to bring out the piano more. It's not intended as the main theme of the song, so I don't want to overshadow the instruments, but maybe some more noticeable somehow. Okay, sure. All right, so this one is called Paul's Hero Anthem, and it's from Allegromancer. Let me bring back my audio on Zoom for Danny here. All right, so this is a good one. Allegromancer, feedback for you. The very first thing that I'm thinking when I hear the piano is, okay, filter sweep is coming, because this definitely needs more warmth. Cadelius, if I'm saying that correctly, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Happy Friday to you. And then that didn't actually come. So I think that I just skipping right down to the very last thing, since it was the one thing that you specifically inquired about up front was the piano, is strip it. Whatever you've put on it, take it off and listen to this thing and see what you think. Like you said, it's not the hero. I think perhaps you've touched it too much in order to make it more supportive. This goes back to the conversation that Danny and I were having when he first popped on, and that is that most times when you want something to stand out in a mix, the best thing you could do for yourself and the mix is just to take a step back and figure out what you can remove or pull back on to allow that thing to stand up taller in the mix, right? This kind of sounds to me like you started touching this piano before everything else was actually in place. Like you were kind of expecting it to be kind of an issue. And then as other players were added, maybe you took away a little bit more and a little bit more of those low end frequencies. And before you know it, the life force is gone. So when you do try to make it stand up taller in the mix because you feel that it's lacking in some way, it never actually happens. It never comes back the way that you want it because the life force has been diminished, right? Sometimes you get too close to the dark side and it affects you. What are they called in Star Wars? The mitochondria thing, but it's not mitochondria. I always forget the name. Anyway,
Midichlorians.
Yeah, your midichlorians have been affected by the dark side, and that's basically just the allure of thinking that you can like wrangle in this instrument before it's actually in full context, right? I don't know if that's resonating, but that's kind of what it feels like. Anyway, let's dig into the heart of this. At 30 seconds, really awesome space fighter vibes. Like I want to get high score to this music. I think that the kick could use some grit. It's nice and punchy already. It just doesn't really have a real, like true character to it. It's serving its purpose. Right now it feels very utilitarian. And it could have just a tiny little bit of grit and it could make all the difference in the world for it. If this was just 8-bit, I wouldn't say anything. 1 minute in, the snare could use a little saturation and perhaps even some subtle reverb sprays here and there just to kind of maybe kind of bolster this kind of space kind of feel that I'm getting from it. Maybe I'm way off the mark though from what your intention is. 133, I think the strings could have a bit more envelope shaping. I think that they feel just a little bit canned right now. At 150, I think there's a bit of competition happening here. It's pretty mid-centric in all of the frequencies. And this is a good time to not only just look at the volume mix, but you guessed it, as you're going through the volume mix, taking stock of where everything is in the stereo field and just giving yourself the opportunity to place each character in the mix where it's going to have the best odds of shining, right? And not being in the way of other things. On the low end front, the big sub that hits at 2 different points in this, I think it's just a bit much. I think it's too much like amplitude. I think it's too much in decibel level, but I also feel like it might just be too much for the theme of the song. I get the desire to have some kind of impact moment, but I'm not sure that much sub is really required to make it happen. In fact, if you had some sort of filtered impact type thing, it might even go further there because the understated effect can kind of get the same exact kind of message across without actually having to mess with the mix at all. 215, the ARP, I think a more dramatic filter modulation on this would bring the entire thing to life. I think that it would add a lot of the movement and change that you may feel isn't quite there yet. I know you were saying you like the arrangement, but the mix is where you need the help. Oh, and this is supposed to be SFX, I think. There is space here in the mix for supportive effects like small sweeps and reversals. And I mean small, just like little, you know, like little reversed snares or cymbals or something like that in a couple of different spots. And maybe on these strings, when they come back into the mix at 3 minutes, maybe there's like a little cutoff modulation to bring them back and like to sweep them back in or something, or maybe even a little modulation on them so it feels like they're kind of along for the ride in this part of the song or something. And that's it. Teocon, sorry it's boring for you, but you won't feel it's boring when we get to your track, so. And I'm seeing some of the same kind of feedback inside of the chat right now. 3 p.m. and finally drinking a cup of coffee. Damn, Will. We're all a little bit too busy right now. And Drummy is saying, all this music is fantastic, everyone, and I fully agree. Dance 2022, right? Yeah, lots of people saying this is very catchy. Will really likes your chord progressions. Strings can come down a bit in the mix, is saying Will. All right, so here comes the feedback from BlackBerry. Allegromancer. The piano seems really heavily EQ'd by removing so much low, mid, and adding so much hammer attack. The upper partial harmonics are obliterated, which is where the shine of a piano is. Try bringing back some of the natural tones so that the piano transients don't have to fight for space against all the other similar boosted transients. Also, this mix sounds like you did most of your EQing in isolation. Try EQing more in context and listen to the harmonic interactions. Yeah, this sounds exactly like what I was saying too. I think that it sounds like you were trying to fix some stuff while not actually hearing how it was fitting together. So I agree about the strings. I think that's the first section. Sounds too crowded too. Drums are too hard hitting. I think Drumtize is kind of hitting on what I'm hitting on, and that is that they're very punchy and everything. It's just without the character. I think if you were to bring them down, it might still work. If they had character, you wouldn't be feeling like you have to push them as hard. 6 of one, half dozen of the other, kind of. And they're also being drowned out at the same place by other elements. And this is where the saturation comes in. I think that if they do have just a little bit more character, then they cut through the mix, and then you're not dependent upon amplitude for what you're aiming for there. BlackBerry says harmonic interactions between sounds. Don't worry so much about the fundamentals as they'll find a way to voice if you're paying more attention to harmonic interplay. Yeah, 100%. Did EQing independently. Yep. Yeah, see, we can hear those things. We can hear those things. Nice recovery, Tio. Thoughts on how I would add grit to the kick? Not sure I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, so any kind of saturation that's going to feel really good to you. I don't want to steer you in the direction of one type of distortion over another. I would play with it. And I would also play in both series and parallel, right? Like applying the saturation either directly on it or just as like an embellishment, like an enhancer, and see. And really all you're really wanting is to hear it clearly. Like, could you take it down a couple of dB in the mix and hear it really clearly? Because what the distortion, what the saturation is doing is adding harmonics, hopefully in an upper register, so you can actually hear more clearly. It's just a matter of something, even momentarily, just catching your ears, and that's all it takes for a kick to cut through the mix. So, Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually wrote down some notes. Man, it's really hard to top all that feedback though, because that's like really great stuff from both you and Blackberry. I mean, it pretty much covers what I thought also. Let's see. I put definitely the piano at the beginning was a little plastic sounding. That's just because like the low mid wasn't really there and it was just EQ'd out. What else? Love the strings. Build up kick before the second chorus drop could be stripped back, like filter it a little bit, maybe a little less velocity, shorten up the kick. And then also as far as the clutter is concerned, a lot of that upper mid and high end clutter is going to start really showing in the 1K and all the way up to realistically could go up to like 7K or higher, but you're really going to hear it between 1K to 5K. And you really want to make sure that your main, well, this is just the case with like really heavily melodic and harmonic music. If you have a lot of instruments that are going to take up that space, you need to make space for each instrument. And each instrument has specific tones, specific frequencies that are associated with them, right? And so having that keeping that in mind will help you make better EQing decisions when you want things to blend a little bit better. For example, the strings definitely have a lot of content between, I would say, like 500 to 2K, and a lot of the main string clutter is going to show up, I would say, around 1K. I have a lot of strings in a lot of my music, and I find that dipping the 1K a bit, not a really sharp cut, but more of like a well-rounded cut, really does even things out a little bit. Furthermore, too, it's also about what instrument is the main feature of a particular section in a song. So, for example, at the intro, your piano did feel a little cold, and that's because it didn't have the well-rounded bodiness that perhaps it should have in that section to stand out a little bit better, but also sound a little bit more natural. What you can do is you could either automate the frequencies with an EQ, so you could leave the mid range in during that intro, and then have an automation edit cut out all the mid range for maybe a busier section where you don't really want the low mid. Or alternatively, you can just copy paste the same instrument and just have that track as like the intro piano track. That's one way of helping out. But yeah, really it's just about figuring out what the main element is for a particular section and making sure that that is the main element, and then everything else has the frequencies cut out that are stacking upon each other and taken away from the main element of a given section.
Word.
Yeah, as far as everything else, yeah, I think that pretty much would cover the clutterness. Really just, again, make space for instruments for given sections. That's really the best way to go. As far as the drums, I felt they could have been shorter, actually, especially with like breakbeat kind of stuff like drum and bass. When it comes to drum and bass, well, when it comes to music in general, and I'm going to get a little woo-woo right now, perhaps, but when it comes to really fast music like drum and bass, you're dealing with so many frequencies in such a short amount of time that you really need to be able to make space for each element. And the best way to do that, not just with compression and EQ, mostly EQ, would be enveloping and having shorter instruments. So a big example in this song in particular would be a shorter kick. The kick has a lot of body, and that's taken up a lot of space on the frequency spectrum. And furthermore, it's going to take away from the low that you want in the bass, perhaps. So shorter drums, especially for faster music, especially when the beats are faster too, like when you have a double time kind of beat. Same thing for the snare, perhaps. I felt like the snare was okay. Really, the kick could have been a little bit shorter. And then also a little bit more rounded too, a little bit grittier, like everyone's saying. I think the transient is really heavy on it, and it doesn't need to be that heavy. I would say one way that you could help that is you could change the kick if you wanted to, make it a little bit more of a well-rounded kick and not like a slammed kind of dubstep kick with a really heavy transient. Alternatively, you could you could soften up the transient with
Like
the
transient
saturation,
master.
but yeah, you could use a transient master. I find that, however, like certain saturations, I'm trying to think of it right now. Saturn,
Mhm.
filter Saturn has these saturation types that you can add to a specific frequency. If you're not familiar, Saturn is a multi-band saturation tool, distortion tool, super useful. What you could do is you could go to the transient frequencies on your kick, upper frequencies, and add some tube saturation, or in Saturn they have a specific saturation type, which is like subtle, clean, I think. There's another one on there too, but if you add that to the transient frequencies and turn up the drive, it softens the transient without affecting the rest of the kick. So therefore, you're just getting a more well-rounded kick, but retaining the frequencies that you want that are in the kick without making them sound blown out or anything like that.
Word.
So that can help.
Your ability to articulate these things coherently just continues to improve, I must say, Danny. That's awesome.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I feel like I said a lot of ums right there.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
like
the
so
idea is
much.
getting across. Tio, like I said, like I said, you'll appreciate this level of depth in feedback when we get to you.
Yeah.
This is how people improve greatly, not just like, nice beat, bro. Next.
Yeah.
All right, Allegromancer. Thank you so much. And we'll circle back to this one for Lumish and Zev here in a bit. Let's get back to our one up here. We're up to Komats here. All right, so this one is just called Whip 2. Here we go. All right, really nice stalling maneuver there at 6 seconds. I was not expecting the complete cutout, and it was nice. I would say my reaction to that, like I like that so much that I would say don't be afraid to force greater dynamic distance between your maneuvers here, because the impact that that one moment had was perhaps greater than all of the other maneuvers that you did in there. And it was simply because it catches the listener off guard. And like we keep on saying, once you take the expected away from the listener, it helps translate the relationship from a passive listener to an engaged participant in the listening experience. And that is what you want. And you've got a lot of really crazy stuff going on here. So the more lean in moments you can get, the more wait, what moments you can get. Even in a short amount of time like this, the better, because it's going to make them hit play, especially on a shorter piece. They're going to be like, okay, that didn't take much time. I got to hear this again, because that was straight up insanity there. How do I even keep track of what's happening? You know what I mean? 48 seconds in, man, your palette just gets like exponentially more complex here in a really cool way. I would say that at the peaks of some of these hits, it's a little heavy on the noise side of the spectrum. So playback from one device to the next in regards to like ear candy appreciation, highly dependent, right? I would say try to find a way to get a little less noise and a little more definition in a handful of those, and you've got a pretty big win. Danny, what do you think?
Let me unmute. Man, yeah, that was sick. I'm trying to think. I mean, the balance was really nice. I do feel that it could use a little bit more dynamics and volume for sure to really like make certain moments hit for sure. Some more pauses would be cool too, and you can do that with just some volume automation, deleting things, muting things. Let's see. I think it's at the end of the tune where there was like a bunch of noise blasts, and they were a little jarring, but I like the idea. So I think just EQing those a little bit more, perhaps, or if there's a lot of saturation on them, just kind of easing off on the saturation, that might be helpful. But overall, yeah, like I get the style of music is meant to be really slammed, and that's cool. But I think there's like a tasteful slamming. And if you can get those dynamics back while retaining that slamming, then you're going to be in a really good place, because this is really great already, like where it's at. So it's just minor details, really.
Yeah, that's really it. And it's not just like a personal preference, like subjective thing. It's more of just like, hey, depending upon where and when or how someone is listening to this, they're going to get a different experience. And I think that, going back to the kind of undercurrent of the stream so far today, the whole less is more. Think about the things that you really want to pop most in this. Now, what can you take away? What can you do differently? What can you strip? What can you peel back? What can you subdue in any way to make those elements have their heroic moments that you want? All right, so next up is hybrid noise. All right, gonna mute Zoom, and away we go.
Find you. Find you. Let me know where you go. Don't let
This is great. There's a lot of good stuff happening here. And a serious groove too. It's a really nice vibe. I think the bass width is perhaps just a little bit too much for the mix. It feels like some things are being pushed to keep up with the bass being out there, but there's nothing saying that the bass needs to be that far out. And if it was a little bit tighter, I think it might hit just a little bit harder as well. It's kind of one of those do one thing and do it well kind of situations, right? Where if the bass gets too far out to the sides, then it's trying to be more than just the bass, I guess, when you have that many other players in the mix. So just personal preference thing there. 54 seconds in, serious vibe when everything is popping off here. It's nice. I mean, I think everyone was collectively putting their hands up in the air. I think that there are probably a dozen, if not more, spaces in this mix where you could slip in a really subtle and supportive transition effect that would really help, not the flow, but the feel. It's just like, hey, we're doing something cool here. Hey, we're doing something cool here too. Hey, we're doing something else cool over here. And they don't have to be big. They don't have to like detract or distract. More of an emotional supportive element, if you will, right? And when I say like small and transparent, I mean like I mentioned this a couple tracks back with like supportive transition effects in space, and that is just like a small snare reversal or something like that in just the right spot can make all the difference. Those are the tiny little things that will make people go back and listen to stuff. And it's like those tiny little engagement moments that make something that's really good into something really, really memorable, right? You're kind of crossing this threshold with that. I think that there's some space for perhaps an underlying rhythmic here at 145. It would definitely not be anything that would like compete or take over your groove. More just like it could be enhancing the groove, or it could be a double time of like the hi-hat rhythm or something like that. Anyway, there's space for it, and it could be completely different timbral material, not drums, not percussion. It could be something else entirely. It could be sticks on a can, right? And then it's run through some creative saturation and granular delay or something like that. It could be really left of center and then brought down to a really, really supportive level. So it's just enhancing the groove, but it's bringing something that's like, oh man, now I was not expecting that. And it would really add to the groove. Chance for more transition, space for a little, so space for a little delay embellishment on the very last beat of the vocals here at 213. I think it might have a cool effect if it was just like the very last syllable gets a couple little extra moments in the sun. Okay, so there are a couple of moments in this mix where the vocals get stepped on just a little bit. And I think that this whole project that you've built here is worth going back and taking a really critical look at the EQ, the volume, and the stereo position of every element in the mix in those moments. So if you go back and you listen with a really critical ear and you're really honest with yourself about how present the vocals are throughout, you'll hear that there's just a few spots where it's like they're a little bit buried. And that's an easy fix if you go through one thing at a time and really pay attention to your EQ cuts and stuff. And don't be afraid to, when you're like right on the edge of should I cut these frequencies or not, just back up a little bit with your cut on your low end and use a shelf instead, and just take like half of the frequency, like half of the decibels away, and maybe not all of the frequencies. Okay, you got to protect the life force of your sounds. Thoughts, Danny?
Yes. Yeah, that was a great track. Wow.
Yeah, right?
Ears up and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, yeah, that's awesome. That was really well done. Yeah, I was trying to honestly, this is a tricky thing about feedback is like I was trying to think of things to give feedback on, and it took me out of actually listening to the track. I have to be honest. Like, I don't know if that happens to you too. So maybe there's just nothing for me to really say too much about, but I would say as far as the rhythmic component with the drums, like you were saying, layering Foley is a really great way to add a little bit of context in the drums, especially in electronic drums, because it's so easy to have really flat sounding and just not natural sounding drums, especially with drum and bass. You want to retain some level of natural performance and dynamics and groove. That's really going to help the overall track, especially like when it comes to drum and bass, the groove in the drums and some of the other rhythmic components like the bass and everything, that's where the character really does lie. All the harmonics and the melodics and all that stuff, that's the story, but for the most part, the groove is going to come from the drums. So emphasis on the drums, especially with natural performance, natural dynamics. And for some reason, I was hearing like during breakdowns and quieter moments where the drums aren't happening, I was hearing like a really compressed, distorted bass sound with some noise on it going doo doo doo, at certain points. Just to like give a rhythmic component that has some impact and a little bit of dirt over a nice melodic thing like this. And that might add some nice contrast. But other than that, great track. One last thing actually too is like one thing that I've noticed, especially with streams, is you can really tell if a track is a little maybe too compressed because it's going to sound really compressed on stream. So definitely ease up on compression, on the compression if you are compressing heavily, because it can kind of be heard.
Yeah, for sure. And answering your question about like, does that ever happen with me where I listen to something and I'm like, I'm not really sure I have anything? Yeah, happens to me all the time. And I basically just say, I ain't got anything for you on this one. And it's totally fine. Real. Yeah. I mean, feedback's got to have the right intention, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I just want to be able to give valuable feedback. But anyway, hope that helps for what it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Tio, you are up. Thank you for the patience. I also have the unfair advantage of having some history with some of these folks, and I've heard some of their other things. And I can remember, oh, wait a minute, video unavailable. Watch on YouTube. Fixed. If it will load. YouTube has been having troubles today. I don't know if y'all have heard, but they're having some troubles. You got this on a SoundCloud too?
Yeah.
They've been struggling all day today. I kind of get the feeling this one is not going to load.
Yeah, we noticed that the tune Innocence, like the likes were all over the place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it would say that it had 9 likes or whatever, and then a couple hours later it would say there'd be 1 like, and it would say that the person who liked it, but nobody else. Like my dad had a like, my girlfriend had a like, somebody from the Discord had a like. It was so weird.
It's just random. I have no idea what's going on, but there's obviously some massive hacking happening in our country right now, and people aren't saying it publicly, but like all the outages with Comcast is not, like that's not a normal, can't explain this stuff away. Oh, I have, Tia. I have.
Yeah, something's going on.
Yeah, they've been down almost the entire day. Do you have this in a, oh, there you go. Spotify. There you go. Yeah, no, it's not a here thing. Luckily, my Comcast woes over the past week have been brutal. All right, so here it is on Spotify.
This was happening in Arizona too, really bad.
Yeah, man, you know, they were blaming it on the weather and saying that it was isolated to just the West Coast. And then they, like, after 5 or 6 days of massive outages, they finally said, okay, actually it's happening in like 11 states or something like that. And it's like, holy cow, man, jeez. All right, here we go. All right, I dig this. I dig this nice immediate energy. It's got a solid retro vibe, really bright and sharp edge to the synths, kind of staying true to the old school. I think in general, if you could find a bit more separation between the individual synths and then highlight the counterpoint and call response kind of relationships a little bit more, I think this whole thing would feel more radio ready. The other thing is, and you feel it at a couple of different points, but I really felt it at 144. It just feels a touch rushed, and it could just be that everything is right on the grid with the beat, and some of those things, especially going back, you know, to the 80s and whatnot, there's this thing that we did as drummers where we would wait to the last possible moment to lay down a snare hit or something and be right on time still. It's just that there was just this small amount of hesitation. And it added this certain kind of dramatic appeal to, well, pretty much everything, like from Devo to the Moody Blues and everything in between. Everyone was kind of playing with these ideas. Prince did it really well. So you might want to have a little play with that in just kind of offsetting the delivery of some of those notes in your beat to kind of pull it back into a pocket a bit. The hats seem to melt into the mix at a few different points here. So definitely find a way to bring those up. And this could absolutely be just a little bit of overdrive. Again, we talked about it earlier, so it's probably still sitting here. Hats, quick fix, zero drive, target and upper hertz, probably around 7K or so is going to be good for these hats as well. And it's just going to generate some harmonics up high that will allow the hats to really cut through the mix. Danny, what you got for this one? Oh, wait. Hold on a second. I got a couple more things. 233. I think that the synth that comes back in there, I think that it could come up like in its delivery. So more dynamic. At 250, and you might want to try this in a different spot too, but just pick a synth, any one of your synths. I think you've got kind of 3 playing off of each ear. Pick one and put some filter modulation on it. Maybe it's like a 4-bar sweep or something like that. It's like a sine wave. It's got maybe 20% resonance on it. So it's got like a fairly like big, maybe 15 to 20. It's got a fairly big kind of funk factor to it as it's kind of going up and down. It'll help separate it from the pack. It's also one of those classic maneuvers of the era. 325, it really feels super organic there during the solo. And you might want to consider a filter sweep on the drums right here as you go toward the fade out outro, and perhaps another fill at the same time. And I think that's the end of that one. Yeah. What you got, Danny?
Yeah, man, that was a ride.
Yeah, right?
That was awesome. Yeah. Let's see. The one thing that stuck out for me, mix wise though, and tonal wise, I think the snare could come up. I think the snare could be a little bit louder because it feels like the kick is louder than the snare, and I find the snare should be a little bit louder than the kick by like a dB. Like it doesn't need to be a big shift. But I think the snare could be a little bit louder. It could also be a little bit brighter. Like if you have, I mean, you can do this with really any EQ, but if you happen to have like an analog emulation, or if you have some actual analog gear, I think adding a little bit of like on a Pultec, if you have like a Pultec or a Puig Tech EQ emulation, adding a little bit of shine at 16K and then attenuating it a little bit would be really, really good for the snare. Yeah, 16K would give it just a nice little bit of shine, and then the attenuation would just make sure it doesn't sound too harsh or too jarring. Yeah, that's kind of really all I got. Creatively wise, I felt like there could have been a little room for some dynamics, maybe like a little bit of a breakdown, maybe like everything was going 100% of the time. And I get that's like the style of the music, and if that's what you're going for, that's cool. You know, don't listen to me. But I think that having a little bit of rest, a little bit of dynamic would be nice in the arrangement, just to make the overall track have a bit of an ebb and flow, which would be really nice. The solo was awesome. I mean, it was just like nonstop, which is really cool. It was just going and going and going, which maybe would be helpful for having a bit of a softer section to make up for all of the go that is that solo. Like adding a rise in dynamics arrangement wise to go into that big section would just kind of, it'd make that section have a little bit more impact, and it would make it feel a little bit more forgive me, maybe not the best way to put it, but a little bit more purposeful and just help the overall track overall. But yeah,
more an integrated part of the entirety of the track.
Yeah, it's like every section is really well done and really cool, but I think having dynamics in the arrangement will make every section feel like they're supporting one another and not
less
just, hey, we're doing
independent.
this thing here, and then yes, we're doing that thing there, and then like kind of like what you were saying in the previous song, like, you know, give the listener space to digest the massive amount of notes and soloing that's about to come. Because I found myself getting a little like, okay, like I get it at certain points during that. So like, all right, got it. You know, you found the notes. No offense, but like, you know what I mean? Just I think that dynamics, that arrangement dynamic would be really, really beneficial for the track. So it's a great track. It sounds awesome. The note choice is great. The mood, the atmosphere, everything is so well done. So definitely have space for the listener to digest everything that's going on.
Yeah, I could vibe with that feedback as well. All right, Tio, hope that resonates with you. We've got a few more in the queue here, and we are waning on time, so we're going to try and boogie through the rest of these. You sticking around for a little longer, Danny, or you got a boogie?
I can do one or two more too if we go quick.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right, Tremtize is up. He's been bringing it lately. I'm going to mute the Zoom here and hit go. He says, so I've been on this for a while now, and I'm unsure if I just want to do another solo and make that ring out at the end, or make a super cheesy outro fading out. Okay, here we go. This one's called Neon Cruiser from Tremtize. All right, so I would consider maybe a transition effect, like a whoosh or something, for the very first second of the song, because the way that it starts feels a little bit abrupt. Right, just with that one note there, I think that it would be cool if it had like a whoosh to that one note. I think the guitar, especially at this 20-second mark and moving forward for about a minute or so, I think it could have a bit more of a guitar profile. In the full context of the mix, it feels a bit ambiguous, and therefore it sits in this kind of ambiguous space in the mix. I think it needs a more of a defined role. At 48 seconds, a bit of mid-frequency competition here. More separation in the stereo position will probably help, like more separation of the individual elements in the mix. At 120, at this spot, the guitar feels a bit more true to itself, but it's also where the mix was free enough and my ears were focused enough on it that I could hear that there's an effect on it that's keeping it like it's kind of holding it back. There's some kind of phase effect on it that is pulling it out of its role, I think. It's probably one of those things where in isolation it sounds pretty good, and then you can't quite figure out why it isn't working the way that you want it to in the mix, and it's because, quite literally, the frequencies and the phase position are doing this, right? So it makes it hard. At 120... Nope, just said that. 145, nice fingers, homie. 159, I think it needs a little something on the other side of this transition. On the other side of the transition, it's a great idea. It falls just a little bit flat, right here. I'm not sure exactly what it needs. Which is why I didn't put anything specific in here. You might need to feel around with a couple of ideas, like maybe a reverb tail lasts a little bit longer, or maybe you cut out that reverb tail so it's true vacuum when it comes out. I'm not sure which one is going to be right. So I can feel you, like with your thing about like, hey, do you start another solo that rings out, or super cheesy fading? I'm not sure. I think you're onto something with that transition. I think it just kind of falls a little flat on the other side of it. What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, for sure. And sorry, I gotta actually bounce after this one. I'm gonna make sure my headphones have enough juice for the next chat I have. But yeah. So sorry guys, I gotta cut after this. But the tune was awesome. Actually, I was just thinking about the sweep that you're talking about right now, and that was the biggest thing that stood out for me as far as like what could have a little bit of taste, a little bit of flavor, I guess. And I would say, yeah, like a reverse reverb would be super helpful, like a little reverse reverb going into the next section. What else can you do? You could add reverb. Like one thing that you could do, it's kind of cool, is if you add a reverb that's solely just for automation, you could automate the reverb to come in really heavy in that short empty space second. Like because you're gonna get the room tail, and then if you cut the reverb right when the beat starts, then you're not gonna get the reverb hanging out over the beat. So yeah, automating some reverb like that would be super helpful. Reversing some toms also is really helpful. What's cool about toms is that you don't get like a flat low end kind of energy like you would with a kick or reverse kick. You're going to get low end rumble from the tom, but you're also going to get some degree of tonality because the tom has a tone, it has a note. And so that's a nice way to add a little bit more tone, I guess, just for lack of better words, for reverses. What else? I feel like the snare was a little, what's the right word to use for this? It felt a little pushed back in the mix for starters, but it also could definitely use a little bit more punch and transient. It felt like it felt a little stuck on the transient, if that makes sense. Like it felt boxy in a way, but not boxy necessarily in the overall tone, just the beginning of it. So the best way that I could explain it would be if you are using a single snare right now, try layering multiple snares. So like have one snare or really just a transient from a snare to get the nice transient and have that untouched. And then everything else is another facet, another part of the snare. So again, you have a transient snare, you might have like an organic snare layer, just to add a little bit more organic quality to the snare, a low mid, which you definitely want to have isolated. So that way, again, it's processed in its own way to make up the whole snare and make it sound just cohesive and clean, I guess, for lack of better words again. Yeah, I would say those are kind of the only things that really stuck out to me. As far as the guitar, actually, one thing too about the guitar, I mix a lot of guitar in the music that I make, and I find that it's really a toss up as far as how it's going to get processed. It felt in this song, the guitar, I think the mid heavy quality that it has kind of lends into the style of music that you're making, which is cool, but it could definitely use a little bit of low end. And if you're unfamiliar with guitars, boosting ever so slightly on an EQ, like literally half a dB, maybe a dB if you're feeling really spicy, boosting the fundamental just a little bit can give it a little bit more body, and then carving out things like 200 hertz, especially a lot of 200 hertz can make things sound a little cloudy and muddy.
That chunk.
And then, you don't really, exactly, the chunk. You don't really want that too much. And I guess that's it. I didn't really hear maybe too much other stuff. Sometimes with guitars, dipping 1K can be helpful. On a lot of guitar sounds, especially like high gain guitars, you get this pokey, very characteristic frequency of guitars, about 1.5K. And if you duck that a little bit, you can really make a lot of space for the other elements, especially in this song where you have a lead synth. You want that lead synth to take up that 1K space, because that's really where a lot of lead instruments are going to exist. For example, if you're working with like a lead guitar or lead vocal, things like that, usually the 1K and above is where a lot of the main stuff kind of lies. Like not necessarily body stuff, but like the main forward frequencies exist. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I really thought. But yeah, dynamics too are a big thing. So if you use a little bit of volume automation and things like that, I would say I wouldn't even really use necessarily like fader automation. Use a gain control for that, because you get a little bit more flexibility with the dB control. So yeah.
Word. Good feedback.
Cool.
Good stuff. Good having you on the show again, homie. I hope that
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope this release with Tasha today does great things for you. I hope people love it. Please make sure you drop it in the Discord so people have a way to go find it.
Absolutely.
And we'll show you the love and support.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, great tunes. And hopefully the feedback helps. I'm going to drop the my link tree in here. And this is where you can find the new tune, Innocence, with Tasha Baxter, out now on Polioto. It's part of her massive collaborative album called Full Moon Flex, which is out next Friday, November 19th. Make sure you pre-save. We have a limited vinyl run going too, so go ahead and pick that up.
Tasty.
And, and we also have it available for digital download and digital purchase on Bandcamp. So yeah, if you like what you hear, definitely support. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Nice plug. Did you rehearse that this morning in the mirror?
Yeah.
Or
I've been saying it all day.
Good stuff, brother. Always good having you here.
Thanks, man. Great to see you. Great to be around.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon.
All right, cool. I'll see you guys soon.
All right, brother. Big love.
All right. Big love. Cheers.
All right, kitty cats. So we are on to, let's just see where we are. That was at 11:52. Oh, snap. Yeah, sorry. We skipped right over Loomish. You beat that last one by 3 minutes. We should have played this last one. All right, so next up is Loomish here. Let me set this up. All right, here we go. This is called Better. He says, a dubstep track about a breakup, work in progress. All right, so away we go then.
Should've known better than to trust in love, huh? It's like this whole world keeps on messing it up, yeah. I thought that I could do better if I just believed, yeah. I'm thinking back to when you were in the sweater that you got from me. Oh, now it's so complicated. Why is this suffocating me? I felt elevated when you used to should've known better. It's like this whole world keeps on messing it up. If I just believe, yeah.
All right, so this is great, Lumish. Seriously, this is great. Hey, Sub Vince is here, and he slides into home. Senegalese Tomadrum. Yeah. Oh, you're Senegalese. Okay. Well, hey, here we go. Really, really nice vibe brewing in the intro. Like everything leading all the way up through the drop right in the middle. Everything is. You've been working on this a bit, right? I can feel it. Like you've been sitting with this for a little bit, and it develops with great restraint. And for those that tune in regularly, you know that I love people that know when to stop. So good on you. That really just props. Perhaps just a touch more low on these perks. And I felt it in a few different places. You know, the half-minute mark, again, at a minute, like as we're getting into that drop, I think that it could use it. I think that it would feel just a little bit more full. Not the drums, the mix. Like, of course, the drums are going to feel a bit more full if you include a little bit more of the low end. But I think that the mix itself is asking for that space to be filled up a bit. 115, just absolutely beautiful. Like you could have gone in so many directions and it could have been so much more aggressive and assertive and you could have thrown more at it and you didn't. And I think that's just a beautiful decision. So thank you for that. Great use of positive negative space. I mean, throughout, but especially here at a minute and a half, it's just really nice and a funky little groove too. At 155, I would accent that little kind of whoosh kind of synth in there. And there are actually a few other little kind of whooshy moments in the mix. And me personally, I would accent those. And it can even be just a matter of, you know, sending all those things through to a shared overdrive process, right? It's just automating like up in frequency as those things are coming up, right? And it's on a parallel, so everything is just being like added shine on those, right? And that's it. That's it. Like I don't have much for you on the mix. I definitely don't want to steer you in any directions with creative feedback because you're doing your own thing and it sounds freaking great. I do ask that you keep coming back because this is great. And I want to know more about how your mind works after listening to this. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Zach is weighing in, or, Zach is weighing in saying, I don't think the vocals need all the processing. They sound ace without, I reckon. Well, you know, that actually does open up the conversation of doubling in a couple of spots even, right? Because there was this little moment around 2 minutes where I thought that the vocals were like a little bit lost, but I hadn't really considered this. Until Subvid makes this comment about, hey, I bet they sound great without, but what if you had a wet and a dry kind of layered here? That might actually give it a little oomph. or just like a super, super subtle non-gritty saturation on the clean, and then the process gets layered into it or something. I don't know. It might make that stand up just a little bit taller around 2 minutes. And yeah, no, if it's brief, then that's just, I mean, that's just how it is. Like, if you're sounding good, then I don't have a lot to say. And that's the only reason I'm here. So, all right, we got one from Zev. He says, okay, well, here's like a song that's half done, trying to figure out where to go with it. We'll probably have to needle drop in just a couple of spots here, Zev, because we're running a little short on time. Welcome in, you died. We are closing the gates for feedback because we'll be wrapping up soon. Just FYI. Welcome in, though. Happy Friday. Gonna needle drop here. All right, homie. I can feel that you're like trying to figure out where to go in some of this. There are so many tasty bits. Probably what I would recommend is taking some of these tasty bits and finding a way to move them in and out of their current position, because right now you've got like you've put your palette out there, and now it's time to start, you know, carving away and turning things into happy little clouds and stuff. Might want to take that repeating effects synth at 125 and play with a little volume mod, long form, right? So that way it's continually appreciated as it kind of peekaboos out in the mix in different places, instead of being this kind of like static thing that people just kind of become adjusted to. 150, I think the lead comes in hot, perhaps a long form fade in, so people that know that it's building to something. Everything else here has this kind of suspended feel to it. So I think that it could play well to have this thing just kind of slowly. And I mean, you've got like, I think more than a minute here, maybe, for that whole thing, or around a minute. So if that was coming up the whole time, it would be cool. And perhaps it even has a little cutoff mod going along with it or something. Or maybe it's like a, you know, this 1 minute long volume, like fairly linear increase. And it's got like maybe a 4-bar LFO cutoff with a fair bit of resonance on it, or something like that. It might just kind of break up that whole thing and kind of stretch out the feeling of suspension and growing and build that tension. 235, you could have some kind of subtle pumping atmosphere that starts out really low as well, and then it kind of slowly comes up with it as you get to this kind of crescendo spot. Nice use of the stereo spectrum at 3 minutes. At 325, I'm kind of thinking maybe some vocal or dialogue samples, or maybe even a vocal synth, right? Taking a vocal chop, playing with it a couple of times, and then morphing it in real time into like a playable instrument or something. Maybe time for vocal synth from Isotope. 513, I know I just dropped into this from a needle drop, but feeling lots of effects and kind of wanting a little bit more direction in that one spot. So I can kind of feel that you're unsure of like where to take it. Which I know, which is why like you're bringing this in, but, all right. So actually just a saw wave with a sine vibes plug on it. Yeah. Nice. I think it fits. It just doesn't need to be omnipresent. I think it can kind of find some spots where it's working, where it's like really fitting the best. Lots of tasty elements, no clear direction. Yeah, you just got vocal synth too. Boom. Yeah, same brain. There you go. That's awesome. Let me just... Okay. So. Yes, you bet. Thank you, Will. Hopefully that stuff resonates with you, homie. Wow, look at all these people coming in. Hello to all of you guys. All right, so there are a couple left in the queue here that we're going to listen to, and then we will be done. Hey, Park Breezy's here. Nice. Toby, you are up next. Nice Tigger avatar, by the way. All right, Toby, and this is Cadilius in the chat. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Tall Tales version 4. I like the graphic here. All right. Dude, this is great. This is so good. I don't really have a whole lot for you. Like, I don't have a lot of critiques here. I do have some stuff that I really liked, and let me tell you about that. I will say that in the intro, after I fully processed it, after the oh hell yeah moment at 35 seconds in, I would say that maybe you have some space to play with something like detuning. And I'm not talking about just maybe one of the elements, but maybe the entirety of everything. Who knows? Because when everything comes into focus and really hits at 35 seconds, it is sharp and in tune and precise, and it's just all at once, and it feels magnificent. So anything that you could do to maybe take us away from that right before we get there would enhance that. 55 seconds in, synth pattern out on the sides. It could be brought down just a little bit, just a tiny bit, maybe just a couple of decibels. It's just a little bit competitive. 125, when this drop happens, I think that this kick can be more pillowy. It's the only thing that hasn't really fully gone into sleepy mode at this point. Yeah, exactly. Perhaps kind of blurred a bit. Yeah, like a Gaussian blur or a detuning where things are just like in that last couple of seconds, all of a sudden it's just kind of like melting or falling apart or detuning or something. And then, whoa, serious precision and serious focus. And yeah, anyway, I think it would amplify the overall effect if you took away a little bit of the quality of the experience in the very beginning in some way. I love the paper Foley. I love the additional Foley after. I like your palette that you're working with here. I really, really do. And brilliant use of space with the transition effects at 206. I really like the tension release at 225. I think it could use a small reversal transition effect going into it just to kind of expand upon the impact. It's the same exact thing that we were talking about at 35 seconds. Like, what can you do? What can you take away or add to in that very last little moment that will enhance or accentuate the feeling, the emotional change that comes next? Love those little minimal, like choir chants, whatever in the outro. It's just, that's good stuff right there. And then that's it. And then I don't have anything for you except for thank you for bringing it in. And I really like where you went with this one. I hope you bring in more. You, sir, or madam, I'm not sure. I don't want to be presumptuous, but you would be a good fit for the monthly challenge, I think. Something tells me. You've got some really clever things brewing inside of you. Consider it. All subscribers get a free sound pack every month, and whatever they are inspired to create with said sound pack, they come back and they submit it in our monthly competition, which is completely friendly, by the way. And you get another free sound pack just for participating. Might be something you want to consider. All right, last but certainly not least, Park Breezy. Welcome to the family officially, Cadilius. Saf, thank you so much for spreading the love. You continue to be a champion of the community. And before you forget, now head on over to the Discord. Make sure that your Twitch and your Discord profiles are linked, and hit the subscriber rewards channel for your free sound pack. This one is called Sunday Bop. It's from Park Breezy. We expect great things. You guys. Freaking Park Breezy. Am I right? Seriously. Come on, man. Man, there's tasty. And then there's slipping into something really smooth tasty. And this is just choice. Park Breezy, I always love your stuff. I have no gripes, no complaints. Here's what I have to say. 19 seconds in, lovely. 28 seconds in, oh. 33 seconds in, love that bass, juicy. 45 seconds in, how many tasty sounds do you have? 57 seconds in, falling into this one. I love those stally hi-hats at 109. Super nice choice. 31, oh my, just lovely. And 140, just the right amount of acid on that bass. And that's it, Holmes. I have no real gripes. I mean, release it. Brilliant work yet again. And Park Breezy, I'm assuming that you're watching this on the VOD. When are you going to come play a monthly challenge? Everyone is turned on right now. That's absolutely correct. That is accurate. And that's all we have time for today. So let's go see who's streaming right now and do a little raid action. And this is when I usually say, you guys, I freaking love you all so much. You're so wonderful for spending all this time with me all the time. Seriously. Where did all my stuff just go? There's that. There's that. There we go. Let's see who's on. Andremia, thank you for being here. Paul, thank you. Let's see. Oh, hey, look at that. Jared is streaming. Let's go surprise him. Let's go surprise Jared. You guys can see him working on an animation bit inside of Audio Design Desk. I will see y'all on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for sharing all the lovely vibes today. Stay inspired. I'll see you on the flip. Peace out.